difficult beast feasting on burnt down trees. Okay, that's important. He said, green gardens are not what's growing up here. Green gardens are not growing in my psyche. It's a different me, a difficult beast feasting on burnt down trees. If the trees were burnt down, there had to be a time they were green, right? Because trees don't grow burnt. You don't grow burnt down trees. You grow green, healthy trees. And so what he's saying here is green gardens aren't growing up here anymore. Like, everything that once used to be good in my brain, everything that once used to be healthy in my brain, everything that used to be good about my mental health has been burnt down, and there's a difficult beast feasting on those burnt down trees. That is the definition of good lyrics, of good lyricism right there. What's up, guys? What's going on? Hope that you guys are having an awesome day. Thank you for clicking on the video. Today's video, we're going to be breaking down some lyrics. We're going to be analyzing some things and doing something that is really near and dear to my heart, breaking down songs. Philosophy. I love philosophy. I am a beginner student in philosophy, but I absolutely love philosophy. And so in today's video, we're going to take some lyrics of a popular song that I love, and we're going to kind of explain and break down why I think it's such a great song. So I know I've done some reaction videos in the past, and I kind of wanted to find a niche, or to kind of set the channel apart a little bit from other reaction channels. And so for that reason, I know you guys love 21 Pilots. I know you guys love different artists, and you go check out the reaction videos and you see people react for 10 to 12 minutes. Oh man, that's so good, I love it. But I know that you guys love the artists very deeply and you care about what they have to say. And so I thought, how about let's offer a different kind of content for this channel. I'm a songwriter. I have experience in writing songs. I'm also a beginner, but I'm still a philosophy student right now. And I figured, why not let's take a stab at longer content. So I don't know how long this video will be. It'll probably be pretty lengthy because there's a lot to analyze in what Tyler's saying. So this is not going to be your average reaction video. I'm not going to be all hyper and animated, or I'm not going to take 10 minutes to react to a song for the first time. Although I like doing that, I will keep doing reaction videos on the channel for sure. But I'm going to do something different in this video. We're just going to see how it goes. If you like what you see, consider joining the channel, continue liking, commenting, subscribing. But I thought I'd just put this out there for anybody who wants to watch it. We're going to dive deep today. We're going to go way deep into what Tyler wrote in this song. This is one of my favorite songs by 21 Pilots, and there is a lot to unpack. So without any further ado, we're going to get into Migraine, and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on. So first, before we actually start this, let me just go ahead and say that I want to establish a term. The term that I want to establish first is exigence. We're going to study the exigence of the author. And what that word basically means is the purpose or the reason why the artist was driven to take pen to paper and write what they wrote. So, for instance, everyone who writes a song is trying to communicate a message. They're trying to communicate something to the listener. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to discover the exigence that Tyler Joseph had to write this song. What caused him to write the song. And so my English teacher used to always say this line about exigence, and it stuck with me ever since 11th grade. So what and who cares? You'll hear me say that a lot on this channel. So what and who cares? First, we're going to try to figure out what he's trying to say and why we should care about it. That's the exigence. So here we go. Let's dive into Migraine. I'm going to pause a lot, but that's because this isn't a reaction. We're diving into lyrics today.
Am I the only one I know? Waging my words behind my face and above my throat.
We're going to pause right there. Behind my face and above my throat is like an XY location. You know, on a graph where you have, you know, the X and the Y and you're trying to locate. What he's saying is, I'm waging my wars behind my face and above my throat. Basically, there's something going on in his brain, in his head.
Shadows will scream that I'm alone.
Alright, so before we get into there, he already establishes from the very beginning that he's alone. With the line, shadows will scream that I'm alone. So what we've got to understand is he personifies the shadow, right? Shadows will scream that I'm alone. And this personification actually furthers his purpose because shadows screaming kind of illustrates further that he's alone. Like, there is such a lack of human presence in the room with him that the shadows are screaming. Like, there's no one in the room to tell him he's alone, right? No one in the room to say, you're alone. He is alone. The shadows have to scream that he's alone. So personifying shadows further illustrates the fact that he is absolutely alone. And we can take it a step further if we wanted to. So we can imagine that the shadows screaming come from his mind, right? Because he personified the shadows with this metaphor here, that the shadows are screaming. He personified them, which basically we can infer that he's making this up, right? Because shadows aren't causal agents. So shadows can't scream, right? It seems basic, but because shadows can't scream, we can also infer that all of this is going on up here, which he already said in the first part, behind my face, above my throat. That's where these wars are being waged. It's up in here. It's up in my mind. I'm hearing shadows scream at me that I'm alone. It's up here. There's a battle being waged in his mind, and that's what that personification actually leads to.
I've got the migraine, and my pain will range from up, down, and sideways. Thank God it's Friday, cause Fridays will always be better than Sundays, cause Sundays are my suicide days. I don't know why they always seem so dismal. Thunderstorms, clouds, snow, and a slight drizzle. Whether it's the weather or the letters by my bed, sometimes death seems better than the migraine in my head.
Sometimes death seems better than the migraine in my head, right? And so what we have to break down here is there is a temporal component to this. Sometimes death seems better than the migraine in my head. There's a temporal component to suicide days, right? He already laid out how it's on Sundays that he feels this way, right? And he goes to explain, he says, Fridays will always be better than Sundays because Sundays are my suicide days. So he says Fridays will always be better. And then he goes on to say Sundays are my suicide days. He's putting it as like a all Sundays thing. Like every Sunday is this way. But then he goes on to explain aspects of Sundays that are not true of every Sunday, right? So, not every Sunday there's snow or drizzle. Not every Sunday is the weather bad and gloomy and dismal. Not every Sunday is like this. And so the thunderstorms, like, these are all things that are subject to change and are not true of absolutely every Sunday. So he goes from saying all Sundays are my suicide days, basically, that's what he's inferring, to then they always seem so dismal. And then he goes through this temporal component that is not true of every Sunday. And so we'll see where he goes with this in a little bit. He says, whether it's the weather, which is a rhetorical device, whether it's the weather or the letters by my bed. Once again, letters are a temporal snapshot. When you write a letter, it's like, this is what I'm going through right now. This letter, this is what's going on in my life right now. And so it's only for a moment that you feel a certain type of way. So letters for a moment, whether it's the weather or the letters by my bed. Letters are also subject to change. You won't always feel the same way that you do when you write them. Sometimes death seems better than the migraine in my head. Don't know why they always seem so dismal, but sometimes. So he's playing with a time theme here. Sometimes death seems better than the migraine in my head. Now, the sometimes that it feels that death seems better is contingent upon the conditions that he mentioned earlier. It's contingent upon thunderstorms, clouds, snow, and a slight drizzle, and the letters by his bed. It's all the times that he feels like death is better than the migraine in his head. He's referring to those times. And so the reason I think that this is important is because it helps establish this idea that death is a permanent answer to a temporary problem, that you're not always going to feel this way. Like, the migraine doesn't last forever. And so it's not a good idea. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense to end your life because of a temporal moment, right? Sometimes death seems better than the migraine in my head. Suicide's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. All right, so he's going to go on. Let's see where he goes with this.
Let it be said what the headache represents. It's me defending in suspense. It's me suspended in a defenseless test, being tested by a ruthless examiner that's represented best by my depressing thoughts.
All right, so he goes on to say, let it be said what the headache represents. And then he goes, so he says, we're going to clarify some things. And then he goes ambiguous with the next line. So let's go back and let's look at this again.
Than the migraine in my head. Let it be said what the headache represents. It's me defending in suspense.
Okay, let it be said what the headache represents. I'm going to explain it to you, right? That's what he's saying. Let's talk about what the headache represents. He goes, it's me defending in suspense. Okay, so what does that mean? Defending, it lends itself to a fight of some sorts. I'm defending, I'm fighting for something, I'm guarding something. Defending in suspense. So I'm defending and fighting for something, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. Suspense is one of those situations where I don't know how it's going to happen. Like when I'm watching a football game, or if I'm watching a sporting event, I'm huge into sports. If I'm watching a sporting event and it's like third quarter and it's been back and forth and we're getting into the fourth and I don't know what's going to happen, I'm in suspense. I'm sitting there like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And so he's defending, he's fighting for something in suspense, not knowing whether he's going to win or not, right? So these battles, that he's waging in XY behind his face and above his throat, those battles that are going on up there, he's not sure how it's going to work out. He's not sure who's going to get the upper hand. Is he going to win, or is the battle being waged up here too strong for him? So it's me defending in suspense of I don't know how it's going to work out. And it's also me suspended in a defenseless test. So I'm stuck. I'm suspended. I'm just kind of frozen in a test that I can't defend. So it's me fighting to win a battle that I'm not sure I can win, but me stuck in a battle that I can't win. Right? And so what's going on here is you have two polar opposites that cannot exist at once. We call this the law of non-contradiction. We can't have both at the same time. Right? We can't be fighting like this. So I have a Chiari malformation, right? And what happens is I get horrible migraines from time to time. I get such bad headaches that it's very unbearable. Now, I played football in high school, and I remember times having to come out of the game because my head was hurting so bad. What happens is when I exert too much energy too quickly, there is CSF fluid that goes around your brain. It circulates around your brain. What happens is if you exert too much energy while it's flowing a certain direction, because my brain kind of sits too far into my where my spinal cord is, the fluid can't make it perfectly around the brain because my brain kind of sits a little too far outside of its bubble, right? And so while this fluid is going around, if I exert too much energy and too much fluid starts to circulate, it'll get stopped up where that little protuberance is, and it'll start trying to work its way backwards, okay? And so what happens when you've got fluid going one way and fluid going the other way is it causes your brain to do some crazy things, and you start to have unreal pain. You have no idea the intensity of a Chiari malformation migraine. It's ridiculous. And so I kind of have sympathy for him in this song, because what he's explaining is I'm fighting in suspense. I'm defending in suspense, but I'm also suspended in a defenseless test. It's kind of like he's got everything going one way, but also going the other way, and it just causes this headache.
Me suspended in a defenseless test, being tested by a ruthless examiner that's represented best by my depressing thoughts. I do not have writer's block, my writer just hates the clock. It will not let me sleep, I get so sleep when I'm dead, and sometimes that seems better than the migraine in my head.
So let's make another inference here. He refers to his writer, right? Implying that he's not in control of his own thoughts, right? So he's saying, I don't have writer's block. My writer, like someone's writing this for me. Like I'm not in control of what's going on up here. There's something else that's controlling my thoughts. I don't have writer's block. My writer hates the clock. So he's basically saying, I don't have the writer's block, but whatever's controlling me up here hates the clock. So this, we find the theme of temporality again in the clock. A clock is always moving forward, right? And it never stops at any point. So his writer wants to stop everything because of the temporal circumstances, because of the weather, the letters by the bed, the dismal nature of Sundays. His writer just wants to stop everything from going forward, right? My writer hates the clock. A clock moves forward. A clock keeps going. A clock never stops. Time doesn't stop. It keeps ticking forward. And so he is stuck in a temporal situation. He's stuck in a moment that is just it's just awful for him to live through. It's this moment sucks, and so he's stuck in it. And his writer hates the clock. He hates that time just keeps moving forward. He wants to end it right here. He does not want to continue living through what he's going through. And so his writer hates the clock. We're still finding that theme of Sundays are my suicide days, right? Thank God it's Friday, because it's better than Sunday. Sundays are my suicide days.
I'm the only one I know, waging my wars behind my face and above my throat. Shadows will scream that I'm alone, but I know we've made it this far, kid.
So I don't know if you noticed what happened there, but that's what we call, in literature, we call that a tone shift. Everything just shifted. He went from, death seems better than the migraine in my head, to, I know we've made it this far. Like, the tone shifts from darkness to a positive note.
Me for yelling, I'm telling you, green gardens are not what's growing in my psyche. It's a different me, a difficult beast, a feasting umber down trees.
So let's take a second, look at this. Green symbolizes health and wellness. All right. So when you go to a restaurant and you want to order healthy on the menu, what do you look for? Green. Anything that's green, good, I can go with that. It symbolizes health. It symbolizes wellness. And so he's saying, I'm not as fine as I seem. Pardon me for yelling and telling you, green gardens are not what's growing in my psyche. Everything's not okay up here, right? It's a different me. Let's back up and hear this line again, because I think it's really powerful.
Yelling, I'm telling you, green gardens are not what's growing in my psyche. It's a different me, a difficult beast, a feasting umber.
Okay. I think the lyrics are wrong here. I actually think that it's a difficult beast feasting on lumber, or let me go online real quick. I don't think this lyric video is right. Give me a second. Sorry about that. It's kind of important that I figure this out, because I did studying on this song, and if I studied the wrong lyrics, then it completely changes my interpretation of it. Yeah, that's what I thought. So these lyrics are wrong on this video. Sorry for this. I know it's got like 17 million views on this video, but they're wrong. So, are not what's growing in my psyche. It's a different me, a difficult beast feasting on burnt down trees. Right? It's not a difficult to be stop feasting lumber down trees. That's not at all what he's saying. That makes no sense. So, sorry. We're trying to break these down logical, and I was like, Tyler's not a writer that bad. He has better lyrics than that. So here goes. It's a different me, a difficult beast feasting on burnt down trees. Okay, that's important. He said, green gardens are not what's growing up here. Green gardens are not growing in my psyche. It's a different me, a difficult beast feasting on burnt down trees. Okay, so let's think through this a little bit together. So if it's not green gardens growing, but there's a beast feasting on burnt down trees, we can infer, or actually, if the trees were burnt down, there had to be a time they were green, right? Because trees don't grow burnt. You don't grow burnt down trees. You grow green, healthy trees. And so what he's saying here is green gardens aren't growing up here anymore. Like, everything that once used to be good in my brain, everything that once used to be healthy in my brain, everything that used to be good about my mental health has been burnt down, and there's a difficult beast feasting on those burnt down trees. That is the definition of good lyrics, of good lyricism right there. Let's continue.
Down trees, freeze frame. Please let me paint a mental picture.
Oh, wait, let's stop one more time. He said freeze frame. We have that temporal theme, like stop time. Freeze frame. Like, let's just stop for a second.
Something you won't forget. It's all about my forehead and how it is a door that holds back contents that make Pandora's box contents look non-violent behind my.
Like, it makes Pandora's box contents look non-violent. Let's go back.
Let me paint a mental picture portrait. Something you won't forget. It's all about my forehead and how it is a door that holds back contents that make Pandora's box.
Okay, so again, the lyrics were wrong on the video, but what he's saying is, let me paint a mental picture portrait, something you won't forget. It's all about my forehead, okay? And how it's a door. Like, you open up the door to the brain, right? It's a door that holds back contents. So the contents of my brain make Pandora's box contents look non-violent, right? And Pandora's box, you know, let's not open up the Pandora's box in this video, but he's basically saying, if you open up the door of my forehead and you went through the contents in there, it would make Pandora's box contents look non-violent at all. Like, it's nothing compared to what's going on in my brain.
Box contents look non-violent behind my eyelids are islands of violence. My mind shipwrecked. This is the only land.
All right, so he goes, behind my eyelids are islands of violence. And so we have to think, if he sees, let's think about this for a second. In order for there to be something behind his eyelids, we'd have to infer that his eyelids are closed, because right now there's nothing behind his eyelids with your eyes open. With your eyes closed, your eyes are behind your eyelids. So behind my eyelids, eyes closed, are islands of violence. So when he closes his eyes, like trying to go to sleep, right? When I close my eyes and I try to go to sleep, it's violence. It's this war waging XY behind my face and above my throat. It's things going on up here. I'm trying to sleep, but I've got a war raging. I've got islands of violence behind my eyelids. The islands, you know, your pupils kind of are suspended there in kind of they're kind of like islands in the middle of your eye. And he's saying they're islands of violence. My mind shipwrecked. This is the only land my mind could find. I'm stuck here on this violent island.
I did not know it was such a violent island, full of tidal waves, suicidal craze like.
Okay, I didn't know it was such a violent island, right? I didn't expect to close my eyes and have this battle going on, right? I went to bed. I tried to close my eyes. I tried to sleep. You know, I'm trying to get rest. I'm trying to get what everyone needs, sleep. And yet, when I close my eyes, I didn't expect this, but I'm on an island of violence, full of tidal waves and suicidal, crazed lions. Now, that is a beautiful picture being painted with words.
Lions, they're trying to eat me, blood running down the chin. And I know that I can fight or I can let the lion win. I begin to assemble what weapons I can find. Cause sometimes to stay alive, you gotta kill your mind.
All right, let's talk about that. Okay, so let's try to build some things here. He didn't know that it was such a violent island with the suicidal lions trying to eat him. He knows he has two choices. He can fight, like he can kill those lions, or let these suicidal lions win. Here, okay, I'm drawing some connections that I'm not sure that he actually wrote it this way, but let me put my interpretation on it. I think that these lions are the beasts that were feasting on these burnt down trees, right? So what used to be healthy, what used to be green gardens growing in his psyche, these difficult beasts are feasting on burnt down versions of what he used to be. And so I think these suicidal lions are those beasts feasting on what used to be the great thing of his mind. So let's picture this. Green gardens are not growing in my psyche anymore. It's a different me. Difficult beast lions, these suicidal lions with blood running down their chin, are feasting on what was our burnt down trees. So what was left of my green garden, these suicidal lions are feasting on that, trying to eat me. Like they're tired of what they've been getting, I guess, and so they're coming after me now. Their blood's running down their chin, like they've been feasting on what was left of my mental state. And they've almost got me at this point, right? And they're trying to eat me. This blood's running down their chin. And so I know I can either fight or I can just give in and let the lion win. So one thing, and this could still be my interpretation, one thing I think would be important is if these lions are feasting on your psyche, one way to kill those lions would be to stop feeding them, right? So it would be to actually make a stand. And I'm not sure if that metaphor actually goes. I'm sorry, I'm thinking through this still as I'm talking it out. So we can starve the lions. We cannot give them anything else to eat. We can make sure that they don't have any more burnt down trees, right? So let's actually let those green gardens grow. Let's not burn down every positive thought that I have. Let's not burn it down for the sake of these depressing thoughts. Let's not burn down my green gardens. Let's let them grow so that these lions don't have anything to eat from, right? So it kind of could be that he had green gardens and he burnt them down. And we all do this, right? We all have good mental health. We have positive things happening in our lives, and then we somehow seem to sabotage those things. So green gardens growing in our psyche, but then we burn those down with depressing thoughts, with our own bad habits, with our own bad outlooks on life. We burn down those green gardens, and then these difficult beasts start feasting on that wasteland that used to be our own mental state. So one way to kill the lion, one way to kill your mind, is to stop burning down the trees, right? Stop burning down the trees. It's just my thoughts, and I know I'm spending some time on this, but this song really causes me to think. It really causes me to sit back and evaluate how I am. Is it possible that there are green gardens growing in my mind that I'm actually killing, that I'm actually burning down my own green gardens and allowing these difficult beasts to get in there and start feasting on those burnt down trees? And so maybe this song offers me a way out. Hey, be careful. If you've got some positive things going on in here, don't sabotage it. Like, let those thoughts grow. Let those gardens grow, and don't kill them. All right, let's move on. Sorry I'm talking so much about this. I'm passionate about this, and I hope maybe someone's interested enough to watch through this.
I'm the only one I know. away from all the pain our brain has made.
Okay, I should say that we should take a day. Again, we're back to our temporal theme. Take a day to break away from all the pain our brain has made. The game is not played alone.
The game is not played alone, and I would say that we should take
a moment, temporal.
Moment and hold it and keep it frozen and know that life has a hopeful undertone. And I will say that we should take a day to break away from all the pain our brain has made. The game is not played alone. And I will say that we should take a moment and hold it and keep it frozen and know that life has a hopeful undertone.
So think about this. He said we should take a day to break away from all the pain that our brains made. So let's just take a day and let's forget about the pain that's going on up here. Let's take a day and break away from that. And then he also says, let's take a moment and hold it. Like again, he's saying, let's stop time and keep it frozen. Like, let's keep that moment frozen and realize that life has a hopeful undertone. So think about this. Earlier in the song, he was saying that sometimes death seems better than the migraine in his head. Where he's basically saying because of the suicide days, right? Because of the circumstances, these moments on Sundays, like Sunday's a moment in time. Because of this moment on a Sunday, I want to kill myself. It's so bad, this moment. But then he says an answer in the bridge. So he says, let's take a day and forget that. Let's break away from that, from all that pain that's going on up there. Realize the game's not played alone. Like we need other people involved in this. I'm actually not alone. And then he goes, I think we should take a moment and hold it. Stop time. Again, earlier he wanted to stop time. His writer hated the clock. You know, he wanted to stop time because he was so depressed. But now he's saying, on this day that we've broken away from the pain, right? This happy day. Let's keep this moment, hold it, you know, keep it frozen, and know that life has a hopeful undertone. So imagine this. If a moment of depression can cause a suicidal migraine, imagine what a moment of hope could do. And this is the exigence of his song. This is the so what and who cares. This is what he's trying to get out in this song. On Sundays, in this moment where I was depressed out of my mind and not as fine as I seem, I wanted to end my life. It's my suicide day. But then in the bridge he says, let's take a different day and break away from that pain from Sunday. And then he says, let's take another moment and let's hold it and let's keep that moment frozen. And let's take that moment with us through all the Sundays that are going to come, that are going to lend us these depressing circumstances, this pain. If one moment of depression can cause these suicidal lions to run around, what about if we took a moment of hope and froze it and kept that with us? Let's keep going.
So am I the only one I know? Waging my wars behind my face and above my throne. Shadows will scream that I'm alone. But I know we've made it this far, kid. We've made it this far. Made it this.
All right. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know it's a super long video. It's not your typical reaction. I'm not sitting here and just vibing to the music the whole time. I really wanted to stop and break down what's happening. This is one of my favorite songs.
Na 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 na, oh oh, na 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 na, oh oh, na 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 na, oh oh.
All right. So Migraine is one of my favorite songs that 21 Pilots has done. And the reason is because of the lyrical depth. That second verse is so dense with reasoning and with a lot of concepts that are really, really powerful. And so I know that I take away from this song the power of moments of hope in one's life, outweighing those moments of despair. And so I think 21 Pilots has a theme where they try to give moments of hope. And I love the band, and I'm going to do more of those songs. If any of you guys want to see more of my thoughts on 21 Pilots and their music, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting more of these now. It takes a lot of time for me to actually break down what's going on. These are, this is old school, guys. I know I could write them down, but while I'm at work, I work at, I'm a security guard, and so I work a midnight to 6 a.m. shift, and there's really not a whole lot that I have to do because no one really comes onto our college campus in those hours. So I got a lot of time that I can sit in the guard shack and break down music. So last shift I sat in there. This takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort to break down my thoughts on a song, but I figured YouTube is really, really packed with reaction channels, and I love doing reactions, and I kind of started this channel that way, doing reactions, trying to also in some ways promote my own music, and there's links to that in the video here if you want to check out my stuff. But I think what I'm just changing strategies here with YouTube. I want to have more discussions like this. So if you have a song that you want me to take some time and break it down and really consider the message that's being said, consider and think through, maybe I disagree with it, maybe I find logical fallacies, maybe I find genetic fallacies, and maybe I find all kinds of different, logical lapses in logic, or maybe I love it, and maybe I can explain to you why this is such a work of art. If you want that, then just go ahead and subscribe to the channel, comment whatever songs you want me to get to. I'm not going to be putting up daily content just because the nature of these kinds of videos, I want to take some time and devote some time to each song that I do, so that when I get on here I can give you more of a well-rounded lyrical breakdown. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So these are going to be kind of more like just laid-back, chill episodes. If you guys like podcasts, that's kind of what I'm going for with the vibe here. Just me sitting around talking about songs, talking about music. So, not really completely scripted, just more rambly. Hopefully someone finds it interesting. But anyway, I'm gonna hop off here. I'll see you guys in the next video.